So, I just finished reading Cutter's End by Margaret Hickey. Okay, what do I have to say about this? It's very Australian. I'm not even kidding when I say it's very Australian. I mean, like, it's set in rural Australia with our dumb little names that only we understand that it's a real place, because outsiders would be like, you've got to be pulling my leg. So, it's very Australian. It's 100% Australian. Maybe not for the colloquialisms that we use, but like definitely the setting and certain references that is just like, that is pure Australian. So if you like Australian books and you understand us, sorry, then you might like this, but let me just continue with the review. Has anyone read Jane Harper's books? I did. Last year I pretty much binged all of her books that she has publicly out as of the end of last year. This book here reads just like Jane Harper's The Lost Man. And I just couldn't get it out of my head that I was like, hold on, did Jane Harper use a pseudonym, go under Margaret Hickey? Did the two of them like share notes? Did Jane not want her book and be like, Margaret, you can have my book? Because I'm pretty sure that reads like something Jane would write. Again, Jane Harper is an Australian author, Margaret Hickey is as well. So basically the story is a detective, actually an acting detective, who at first read like he was in retirement, but turns out he's not in retirement. He's forced onto leave because he got caught cheating with someone in his force. So they were like, no, we can't have you having an affair with your police partner, so you need to go on forced leave. He's not on retirement, but it read like he was on retirement. And I was like, I'm sorry. I know I don't know cops speak, but I thought cops, once you're retired, you don't go back. So I got really confused for like the first half of the book, which didn't help me at all. Yes. Now, this story is a mystery. The problem is with this mystery, there is two crimes in this. There is one here. There is one set in 1989. There is another one. Let's see how many pages I can get through. There is another one set in 1990. Technically, they're the same crime, but there's also two differences. Two different people are investigating them during two different time eras. In the late 90s, early 90s, and in 2021. Which does take you a while to understand, because you're like, we're following this case about this guy who had suicide in rural Australia. Okay, his case is being reopened because a woman who's famous, who's on the brink of losing her career and the limelight she loves, wants this case reopened. But then there's also another story about a woman who disappeared in the 80s, and some random chick that she's probably only briefly met, who shares the same initials with her, decides to try to track the case down decades earlier. Those two crimes really struggle to connect to each other until the last couple of pages, and you sit there going, oh, that took forever. I have now forgotten the point of caring about the missing woman. And I was like, I'm sorry, but like, we could have either had the missing woman or the staged suicide. We didn't need both. And then there's other references where it talks about a character had an abortion. It talks about a character that just was pushed and shoved and she was abused. But like, those two parts of the story literally have no purpose in the story. Because one, the male character is like, I didn't push you, I didn't abuse you. Like, he tries to paint himself as a saint, so you assume that he's a saint-ish. And then her abortion, you're like, what does the abortion got to do with the story? Because even the male character is like, no, I don't know what's going on. I'm still so confused. Another part that got me is that our acting detective, who I thought was retired, he's actually on leave, is in a relationship with a lawyer. Now, again, I don't know criminal speak, but I didn't understand the point of having his family in the storyline. His wife is investigating a domestic violence case, or bringing to trial a DV case anyway, and she loses the case. Okay, but what does that story got to do with Cutter's End? What does her case have to do with the fact that her husband is in rural Queensland or rural wherever investigating a staged suicide from the 90s? Oh, you want to prove that women are statistics to abuse? I already freaking know that because I am a woman in Australia, mate. If I wanted to read up on statistics and how women are always victims, I would go watch the news. I don't need that in a fictional storytelling of a book that I wanted to try and enjoy because it originally looked like it was very interesting to me. But this whole story made it feel like that women are only ever going to be statistics and are seen as a sexual object to pervy men. And tried to make it look like that this detective was very thankful that he had 2 little boys because he can treat them and make them be better at treating women. Whatever. I don't give a damn. Shove that misogyny out of my mind. Okay? That's a media problem, not a fictional story problem. And I know that sometimes fictional stories overlaps into real life, but like... Okay, I'm calm. Okay, what else am I missing? Now, again, because it's set in rural Australia, which I've already mentioned half a dozen times, I have gained a pet peeve of it. Why? Because every Australian TV show, every Australian movie, and now books seem to think that rural Australia is the perfect crime setup. I mean, you're not wrong. As this story mentioned, we've had Ivan Milat, and if you know who he is, then that's set in rural Australia. We've had other criminals based in rural Australia who have kidnapped and murdered people, hitchhikers in particular. This also tries to use Wolf Creek as its like basis to its storyline, which I'm pretty sure that my dad told me Wolf Creek is a fictional story, but that's another story in itself. Like, again, back to the lawyer. I know I'm jumping all over the place and I do apologize. Back to the lawyer. She tells her husband to delete the case files that he's written up. I'm sorry, but isn't that obstruction of the law? Can't she lose her lawyer license for that? Can't she be charged with obstruction? Again, I know I don't know cop lingo, but telling your cop who's a husband to delete crucial key details that could actually solve this cold case. No. Like, I get it that we're trying to protect women in this story, but like, isn't that obstruction of the law or some rubbish? And I get that it happened 30 years ago, but like, even the cold case needed to be shut. Like, this is why we struggle closing cold cases, and there's always podcasts, because some idiot decides to have an obstruction into it and be like, hey, so you know how yeah, can we like pretend it didn't happen? And that's why cold cases are reopened, because of podcasters. But anyways, basically, look, I know it sounds like I hated this book. I didn't. I had a few gripes with it, and it's more of a me problem rather than a Margaret Hickey problem. But like, it's not the worst book I've read. It's not the best book I've read. It's an okay book. It is very Australian. So if you like Aussie books, you'll like this. But to me, I just feel like I've read it before. I felt like that it's just another author's work that I've read. It felt like a storytelling that I've been told 10,000 times before, and this makes it no different. It feels like that it's trying to prove that women are always victims, and I get that, I've already said that, but like, sometimes I would like to just read a murder story, mystery, whatever, and not feel like that I'm going to be used as a statistic. And I understand that the author is a female, or at least I assume her pronouns are feminine, but like, female authors, could we please just not keep making it seem like women are always statistics? Can we please, for the love of my sanity, not make it obvious that women are statistics? Yes, it is true that we are statistics and we are always on the higher chance of being raped and murdered and everything in between, but for the love of my sanity, I just want to read a murder mystery that doesn't make it feel like that it's a misogyny story where only women are victims. Okay? And I get in this story that the abuser is sort of a victim in this too, but like, I found things that I just, yeah. Look, it's not a bad book, but it's not the greatest. It's just okay. And I know I went a long-winded way, but I'm just really angry on how, yeah, I'm done. It's cool. Bye.